Every single day in history holds moments that change the world. Some days pass quietly. Others leave marks that shape nations, technology, and even global culture. April 3rd is one of those days. Across different centuries, events unfolded on this date that influenced communication, rebuilt continents, transformed technology, and even sparked one of the most famous mysteries in the world. Stay with us until the end, because one of the strangest discoveries ever reported in modern history is connected to this very day. Let's begin our journey. In the mid-19th century, the United States was expanding rapidly toward the west. New towns were emerging across vast territories, but communication between the eastern states and the western frontier was painfully slow. A letter sent from Missouri to California could take weeks to arrive. For businesses, governments, and families, this delay created enormous challenges. A bold solution was proposed. In 1860, a new express delivery system was launched. It became known as the Pony Express. The system relied on riders traveling on horseback across a route stretching nearly 2,000 miles. The journey began in St. Joseph, Missouri, and ended in Sacramento, California. Along the route were more than 100 relay stations. At each station, riders quickly switched horses and continued their journey at incredible speed. Each rider typically traveled between 75 and 100 miles before handing the mail pouch to the next courier. The terrain they crossed was extremely dangerous. Riders galloped through deserts, mountain passes, forests, and open plains. They faced extreme weather, exhaustion, and the constant risk of attack. Yet despite the dangers, the Pony Express dramatically improved communication. Mail that once required several weeks could now travel across the continent in about 10 days. The service captured the imagination of the American public. Young riders became legendary figures of courage and endurance. Their determination symbolized the spirit of exploration and expansion that defined the American frontier. However, the Pony Express existed during a moment of rapid technological change. Only 18 months after it began, a new invention made it obsolete: the telegraph. With telegraph lines connecting the country, messages could suddenly be sent almost instantly across vast distances. The Pony Express ended operations in 1861, but its legacy lived on. It became one of the most famous stories of speed, bravery, and innovation in American history. Decades later, April 3rd would again become connected to a moment that reshaped the world. The year was 1948. The Second World War had ended only 3 years earlier, but much of Europe remained devastated. Entire cities had been destroyed by bombing. Factories and transportation networks were in ruins. Millions of people faced poverty, unemployment, and food shortages. Political instability threatened the region. Leaders feared that economic collapse could create further conflict or allow extremist ideologies to spread. The United States proposed a massive program to help rebuild Europe. This plan was developed by American Secretary of State George Marshall. On April 3, 1948, the program officially became law. It would later be known as the Marshall Plan. The initiative provided more than $12 billion in economic assistance to Western European nations. At the time, this was one of the largest international aid programs ever created. The funds were used to rebuild factories, repair transportation networks, restore agriculture, and stabilize national currencies. Countries such as France, Italy, West Germany, and the United Kingdom received support. The results were dramatic. Industrial production increased rapidly. Trade between European nations expanded. Economic confidence slowly returned. The Marshall Plan also strengthened political alliances between the United States and Western Europe during the early years of the Cold War. Many historians consider it one of the most successful economic recovery programs in modern history. It helped transform a devastated continent into a region of growing prosperity and stability. But April 3rd would also become associated with a technological moment that quietly changed everyday life for billions of people. The year was 1973. At that time, telephones were common, but they were tied to physical locations. People communicated using devices connected by wires to homes, offices, or public telephone booths. The idea of carrying a phone anywhere seemed almost impossible. Yet engineers were already imagining a different future. One of those engineers was Martin Cooper, who worked for the technology company Motorola. He and his team had been developing a prototype handheld mobile phone. On April 3, 1973, Cooper stepped onto a street in New York City and made history. Using the prototype device, he placed the first public call from a handheld mobile phone. The call was made to a rival telecommunications company. The device looked enormous compared to modern smartphones. It weighed more than 1 kilogram. Its battery lasted for only about 30 minutes of conversation. Charging the phone required several hours. But that single call demonstrated that mobile communication was possible. It marked the beginning of a technological revolution. Over the following decades, engineers improved mobile networks and device technology. Phones became smaller, lighter, and more powerful. Eventually, they evolved into smartphones capable of performing countless tasks beyond simple voice communication. Today, billions of people carry mobile devices that connect them instantly with others across the world. What began with a single experimental phone call on April 3, 1973 helped create one of the most important communication technologies in human history. But the stories connected to this date are not limited to innovation and global economics. One of the most unusual events tied to April 3 comes from the quiet waters of a Scottish lake. The location is Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. For centuries, local legends spoke of mysterious creatures living beneath the dark surface of the lake. But in 1933, something happened that brought worldwide attention to those legends. On April 3 of that year, a local newspaper published a report describing a strange sighting in the waters of Loch Ness. Witnesses claimed they had seen a large creature moving through the lake. According to their descriptions, the animal had a long neck rising above the water. The story spread quickly through newspapers and radio broadcasts. Soon, more people began reporting similar sightings. The mysterious creature became known as the Loch Ness Monster. Many people gave it a nickname, Nessie. Photographs were taken. Expeditions were organized. Scientists attempted to determine whether an unknown animal species might actually inhabit the deep waters of the lake. Some researchers suggested that the sightings could be explained by floating logs, unusual wave patterns, or large fish. Others speculated that a prehistoric creature might somehow have survived in isolation. One famous photograph taken in 1934 appeared to show the creature's long neck rising from the water. For decades, that image was considered powerful evidence. But many years later, investigators revealed that the photograph had been a hoax. Despite this discovery, reports of sightings continued. Modern sonar scans and underwater cameras have explored the depths of Loch Ness many times. Yet no conclusive evidence has ever been found. Today, the Loch Ness Monster remains one of the most famous mysteries in popular culture. Whether myth, misidentification, or something still unexplained, the legend continues to fascinate people around the world. And it all gained international attention after that report published on April 3, 1933. When we step back and look at April 3 across centuries, a remarkable pattern appears. A daring mail delivery system racing across the American frontier. A massive international program rebuilding a continent after global war. A technological breakthrough that transformed how humans communicate. And a mysterious creature that continues to capture the imagination of millions. Each of these events belongs to a completely different chapter of human history. Yet all are connected to the same day on the calendar. History is not just shaped by famous battles or powerful leaders. It is shaped by bold ideas, by innovations, by discoveries, and sometimes even by mysteries that challenge our understanding of the world. Every date holds stories like these. Moments that influence economies, inspire exploration, change technology, or spark curiosity for generations. And April 3 is a perfect reminder of how a single day can connect events across centuries. Because every single day has a story. On this day, riders on horseback carried messages across a growing nation. On this day, a recovery plan helped rebuild an entire continent. On this day, the first handheld mobile phone call began a technological revolution. On this day, a mysterious creature captured the imagination of the world. Through moments like these, history quietly moves forward. And every date on the calendar holds discoveries waiting to be explored. If you want to know what happened in history every single day, make sure you subscribe.